Hi there folks, welcome back to my channel, and as you may have guessed, this is going to be another video looking at the history, mythology and folklore of Scotland. And for this video I will be looking at what can only be described as being a Scottish icon. And it's probably the most famous story to come out of Scottish folklore or mythology, and it's probably the most famous cryptid to come out of Scotland. And so what I'm going to be talking about is the Loch Ness Monster, also known as Nessie. So for those who don't know, Loch Ness is up the northeast end of the Great Glen, up towards Inverness. So it's if you're thinking about maybe doing the North Coast 500, it could possibly be somewhere you could stop off and have a little explore. So before I got into the main topic of the video itself, if you're enjoying my videos, if you're enjoying my channel, please click on that subscribe button, click on that notification bell, leave some likes, leave some comments. And again, if you have any suggestions of videos that you might want me to do, or any topics you may want me to cover, just let me know in the description bar below. So get back onto the actual topic of the video. With the Loch Ness Monster, the first written mention of the Loch Ness Monster, or what people have interpreted as the Loch Ness Monster, appears in 565 AD in the book that's called The Life of St Columba, which was written, and I'm sorry, I'm probably going to pronounce this guy's name wrong. It's Adomnan. Again, I do apologise if I've pronounced that wrong. He was actually one of the monks from Iona. I think he was actually related to Saint Columba, like there was some sort of family connection there. And what he actually had mentioned in the book that he'd written about St Columba was that Columba had gone up, headed up into Pictland in the hope of converting the Picts to Christianity. And they'd gotten as far as the River Ness, and they'd came across a group of men who were burying another local man close to the River Ness itself. So they're obviously asking what had happened, why did the man die, and they were essentially told that the man had been swimming in the river, and while he was in the river he was attacked by what was described as being a water spirit. And the other men who'd been with him had tried to save him, but the water spirit had managed to get him under the water and had managed to kill him. And Columba had told one of his men, one of the monks, to swim across the river. And as the monk was in the process of doing so, the water spirit made another appearance. Again, you have to remember, it was in the river. This was happening in the River Ness, which was flowing into Loch Ness. It wasn't actually happening in the loch itself. So again, while the monk was swimming across the river, following orders from St Columba, the water spirit appeared again and made to attack the monk as he was in the water. And as the water spirit was swimming towards the monk, St Columba made the sign of the cross and told the beastie to essentially stop. He wasn't to kill the man, he wasn't to kill the monk, and he was to go back. And the water spirit essentially stopped where it was, just stopped dead in the water, didn't go any further, and essentially ends up fleeing back the way it'd come. And some people have very much used this as this the first written mention of the Loch Ness Monster. Other people have argued that this was essentially just a continuation of a Celtic belief in water spirits like Kelpies. And so again, there does seem to be kind of like two kind of camps there. But it's the first kind of modern kind of mention of the Loch Ness Monster was in 1802 by a crofter who was living in the area called Alexander MacDonald. And he said that he'd seen a large stubby-legged animal surfacing from the loch and propelling itself within 50 yards of the shore from where MacDonald was standing, and that he actually reported the sighting to... So I'm just checking my notes here, and it was saying that he reported the sighting to an ancestor of Alexander Campbell, who was the future Loch Ness water bailiff. I'm not too sure what the water bailiff is, I've just checked that. Yeah, so I've just checked. A water bailiff is a law enforcement officer who is responsible for patrolling bodies of water, including rivers, lakes or lochs, or such like. So, essentially, kind of, yeah. So, kind of, there's continuing kind of reported sightings of the Loch Ness Monster kind of throughout the 19th century into the 20th century. And probably the most famous of these sightings, and is also kind of has in the past been used as photographic evidence of the Loch Ness Monster existing, is what's called the surgeon's photograph, which was taken in 1934. And it essentially was said to have shown the head, neck of what was supposed to be the Loch Ness Monster, and it was supposedly taken by a London-based gynaecologist called Robert Kenneth Williams, and it was published in the Daily Mail on the 21st of April in 1934. But as Wilson wasn't willing to have his name associated with the actual photo itself, which is why it became known as the surgeon's photograph. And according to Wilson, he was standing on the shores of the loch, looking out across the water, when he saw the monster, managed to grab his camera and managed to take the photograph. And there's apparently only 2 exposures that actually came out clearly enough to actually show anything. And it was essentially the first photograph is at the head and the neck, and the second photograph was supposed to be the head and the neck, but kind of in a diving position. So it's obviously kind of going back into the water. And as it's the first photograph that most people kind of know about, because it's the clearer of the 2 photographs. So like for about 60 years, this photograph was seen as being evidence for the kind of for Nessie existing, even though there were always skeptics, kind of essentially giving or kind of making suggestions for what the photo could actually be showing. Some people were saying it's driftwood, some folk were saying that it was an elephant, and what you were seeing was really just the trunk coming out of the water. Other people were saying it was a bird, and a lot of it was kind of down to the fact that the scale in the photograph was kind of questionable, and especially as it was kind of shown kind of cropped, which was suggesting that what you were seeing in the photograph was bigger. Excuse me. And if you actually look at the uncropped version of the photograph, you can actually see the shores of the loch, which suggests that it was actually closer to the actual shore of the loch itself. And there has actually been analysis carried out on the original photograph, which only kind of brought about more doubts. And there was also a so it was and with all these kind of surrounding doubts and questions about the surgeon's photograph, in 1993 there was a documentary about the photograph itself, which was, I think it was called the Loch Ness Discovered. Is it? Loch Ness Discovered, that's what it was called. And it was actually kind of revealed that the object in the water, what people were claiming to be Nessie, was actually just a kind of really small kind of little object. It was kind of like 80 to 90 centimetres or 2 to 3 feet in kind of length. And it was actually revealed in '94 to be just an elaborate hoax, that essentially those who were taking the photograph were actually wanting to get revenge on the paper that published it. So they were wanting to get revenge on the Daily Mail, because those who had taken the photograph, they went to the Daily Mail with kind of other photographs, or no, they'd went to the Daily Mail after they'd found Nessie footprints, and the Daily Mail had essentially just told them to get lost. So they'd set up this hoax in order to try and kind of get the Daily Mail to print the photographs, in the hope of essentially making the Daily Mail look ridiculous and somehow part of the hoax itself. And since then, essentially there'd been numerous other kind of apparent sightings. There'd been other apparent photographs, surveys carried out, movies made, and as far as I know, Loch Ness is actually probably one of the most surveyed and investigated lochs in the whole of Scotland. There's been sonars carried out between 1962 to 1972. There was something called the Loch Ness Phenomena Investigation Bureau. Bit of a mouthful. And I think would usually shorten it to LNPIB, which again is probably kind of a bit of a mouthful anyway. So there's been a number of other studies carried out, but unfortunately, as of just now, so as 2020, there's not been no scientific evidence of Nessie being discovered. There's nothing that's been kind of presented as solid evidence that Loch Ness Monster is out there. But I think kind of with something like the Loch Ness Monster, I think it's kind of, it's the mystery of it that's fun. There's always that kind of little bit of going, but what if it is there? What if it's something else? Or what if not all of the sightings are hoaxes? What if not all the photographs are hoaxes? And I think that's part of the reason why there is this kind of romance about the Loch Ness Monster, why there is this kind of romance about people coming and visiting Loch Ness, that people are always there's always that kind of little kind of feeling of, what if I'm the one who gets that photograph or finds that bit of evidence that totally blows the whole case open? And yeah, there's always that kind of little thing, is like, we always want to be part of the mystery, we always want to play our part. And the Loch Ness Monster is a mystery, and it's intriguing, it's interesting, it captures people's attention. And I remember even as a kid, I was always kind of interested in the whole kind of Loch Ness Monster myth, legend, whatever you want to call it. It was just one of those kind of things, it was just, you kind of want Nessie to exist, even though there isn't the evidence. And again, it's like, even if Nessie isn't there, the story, I think, is enough to actually kind of, you wouldn't want the mystery to be solved, because that would just take the fun out of it, I think. And so there is part of me that kind of wants to prove that Nessie's real, or would love to kind of be able to go, all right, okay, we know what Nessie is, it's all sorted, we know it's fine. But there's also part of me that's going, but we don't want to know. We don't want to take away the mystery. We don't want to take away the romance. We don't want to kind of stop with the hunt. Because again, it just has that kind of certain kind of appeal if it's something that is always just kind of out of reach. It's just beyond our grasp. But like the Grail, it is always just out of grasp. But you always still want to try and find it. So, I have been to Loch Ness myself, and it is a beautiful part of the country, and it's very dramatic, and it's very kind of romantic as well, especially when you've got something like the Orchid Castle that's sitting up on its little kind of ridge on the side of the loch, and it's quite a romantic, dramatic ruin. There's like so much history and archaeology just at that one spot, and being Orchid Castle actually gives you a really good view of the loch itself, and I think that's part of the reason why so many people stop at Orchid Castle, because if they're going to see Nessie, if they're going to see the monster, why not there? Because you get such a good view, and the loch just opens up in front of you. You can see in both directions. So yeah, even though part of me wants it to be proven that the Loch Ness Monster is there, as I was saying only moments ago, I wouldn't really want to destroy the mystery or the appeal. So even though there have been so many hoaxes, we're still talking about the Loch Ness Monster, and that is the power. That is kind of what I think is just so powerful about Nessie right there. We're still talking about the monster, we're still talking about the beastie, and people still have that little nugget of hope that they will find the monster. So even though it is seen as being a cryptid, it's seen as being mythology and folklore, it still has that hold on us, it still has that kind of grasp on that kind of part of our psyche that just wants to kind of understand the unknown or find the unknown. So before I kind of waffle on it even more, before I kind of talk myself in circles, which I probably already have been, I'm gonna sign off just now. Hopefully I haven't bored the pants off you. Hopefully you all enjoyed this video. If you have, hopefully I'll see you all in the next one. Bye bye.